Ah, the land down under, a place known for kangaroos, koalas, and deadly wildlife, or so the media claims. If you've spent time online, you've likely heard about Australia's exotic creatures and unique quirks. However, not all internet stereotypes are true. As the world's sixth largest country and one of its smallest continents, Australia is a vast land full of surprises and wonders. From the Australian Stonehenge to the remains of a dragon-like reptile, let's explore 20 of the strangest discoveries recently made in this fascinating country. Number 20. Devil's Marbles. Devil's Marbles, or Karlu Karlu, are a collection of massive granite boulders found in the Northern Territory of Australia, in the locality of Warrumungu. These boulders look like they've been dropped from the blue sky, and just like magic, they seem to wonderfully balance on top of other boulders as if they're defying gravity. It's very impressive to look at these boulders. They look like they're precariously balancing on the edge, and quite frankly, they look like they're going to roll down any second. The Karlu Karlu is a very important and sacred site for the traditional owners, the Warrumungu people. This whole site has been considered sacred since ancient times. Its other name, Devil's Marbles, came from a quote by the Scottish-Australian explorer John Ross during the 1870 Australian Overland Telegraph Line expedition. He stated, "This is the devil's country." He's even emptied his bag of marbles around the place. No matter how beautiful the formations are, the local Aboriginal community refrains from allowing tourists to climb on top of these boulders, not only to protect them but because they are historical and significant. Number 19. Gosford glyphs. The Gosford glyphs are one of the most intriguing and mysterious things found in Australia. The Egyptian civilization is an important part of our history, and even today, archaeologists are still excavating sites to discover more about them. Imagine their surprise when they discovered a stone covered with Egyptian hieroglyphics in Kariong, New South Wales, Australia. There were approximately 300 Egyptian hieroglyphics located at the site, and they're found near the confined Aboriginal petroglyphs in the area. However, ever since they were discovered back in the 1970s, researchers and academics have claimed that these hieroglyphics might just be a hoax. Scholars and professors claim that the way the artifact was cut is not the way the ancient Egyptians created rock inscriptions. One theory is that the glyphs may have been carved back in the 1920s by Australian soldiers when there was a lot of interest in ancient Egypt after the tomb of Tutankhamun was discovered. Even if these glyphs are widely debunked, people are still trying to prove their authenticity. There are even records about the glyphs in the National Library of Australia in Canberra and the British Museum in London. Number 18. Figure 8 Pool. The Figure 8 Pool is located in a rock shelf in Sydney's Royal National Park near Burning Palms Beach. It may be beautiful, but the waves there can certainly be dangerous. The perfectly 8-shaped natural rock pool is certainly perfect for an Instagram picture. But if you ever plan to visit the pool, you must take note that there have been many instances where people got injured because they didn't expect the waves from the walk to the pools. If you get taken under the waves in the rock pool, there's a high chance that you'll sustain a serious injury. If you want to visit the place, it's better to calculate the tide and the swell to make sure that you'll have enough time to safely appreciate the Figure 8 pool. Number 17. Thylin. The Thylin, or the Tasmanian tiger or Tasmanian wolf, is a large carnivorous marsupial that once roamed Australia, extending north to New Guinea and south to Tasmania. Sadly, it's now believed to be extinct. Thylacines used to eat kangaroos and other marsupials, as well as small rodents and birds. The exact reason for their extinction still isn't known even today. However, it is believed that they simply lost competition to the dingo, which are the wild dogs of Australia. Another reason might be the hunting pressure from humans. Countless fossils have been reported from Victoria, southwestern Australia, as well as Queensland. Today, we only have their fossils to remember them by, but it's amazing to see that these creatures once roamed the earth. Number 16. Floating Hotel. Not a lot of people nowadays know about the floating hotel that was once docked in Australia. This massive floating hotel was the magnum opus of Italian-born developer Doug Tarka and his son Peter, who were both living in Townsville. The hotel had 7 stories and about 200 rooms, complete with a nightclub, bars, restaurants, a helipad, and a tennis court. It operated as the Four Seasons Barrier Reef Resort. The floating hotel was created to have a cheaper and more environmentally friendly structure where guests could stay and enjoy the luxury of a hotel and the ambience of a cruise ship. The hotel was a magnificent sight in its prime, and it could hold about 350 guests. Because the hotel was located in the middle of the ocean, guests would need to ride a helicopter or a catamaran to reach it. This alone cost around $350. The hotel was an ideal tourist spot, especially for divers. But soon enough, the downsides became apparent. Many expressed that it was a bit unnerving to stay in the hotel when bad weather hit. It was a great idea, but it didn't fly commercially. After just 1 year, the hotel became too expensive to operate and it closed down. It was then quietly sold to a company in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam in 1989. The Four Seasons Barrier Reef Resort became known as the Saigon Floating Hotel. It found success, especially as a popular night spot. But again, the hotel fell into financial ruin. It was bought by Hyundai ASIN and was taken to Mount Kumgang tourist region in 1998. But it seems that the hotel could never reach its maximum capacity. It was suspended in 2008 because of the conflict between South and North Korea. It was reopened once again in 2018, but the hotel was criticized for being in a shabby state. There has been news that the hotel was dismantled earlier this year, although this isn't confirmed. Now it's time for today's topic. An Australian fisherman returning from a routine fishing trip recently captured footage that has left viewers both fascinated and terrified. The video, taken on a mobile phone near the coastal waters of Queensland, shows a strange, humanoid-like creature perched on a dilapidated structure just above the waterline. The being appears to have an elongated body, pale skin, and what looks like a fin or tail flapping in the air. The fisherman, who remains anonymous, claims he initially thought it was a seal or some large fish. However, as he moved closer, the creature turned its head, revealing distinctly human-like features combined with aquatic characteristics. Shocked and unsure of what he was witnessing, he quickly recorded the scene before the creature slipped into the water and vanished without a trace. Speculation about the sighting has been rampant. Some believe this could be evidence of the legendary Merfolk often spoken of in folklore, while others suggest it might be a mutated marine animal affected by pollution. Skeptics argue it could simply be a clever hoax or an unusual reflection. Whatever the explanation, the video has reignited curiosity about what secrets the ocean may still hold. Could this be a new species, or is it something that defies scientific understanding altogether? Number 15. Gnomesville. Just as its name suggests, Gnomesville is a place full of gnomes. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of gnomes. I'm not even joking. Gnomesville can be found in Ferguson Valley, and anyone interested in seeing their thriving community can visit. Apparently, it all started with just one gnome until it became a dozen, then 100, and eventually created the little community they have now. Just like a real village, the gnomes here have their own lives. Some have groups and cliques, while others have a unique place in the village. There's a group of green hat gnomes, a group of tiny gnomes in a school bus, and there are also gnomes just doing their gnome thing. It's certainly fun to explore this area and get to know each individual gnome in Gnomesville. I've been saying the word gnome a lot, and apparently people thought that the word is just a great opportunity to make puns. Here you can find witty titles like No Man's Land, World Nomination, The Gnomon Empire, and more. I guess there's no stopping these tiny figurines at this point. Currently, it's said that there are over 3,000 gnomes in the area, and they continue to increase. If you ever find yourself in Gnomesville, though, make sure to heed the warning. Don't ever be tempted to try and take one home as a souvenir. You see, these guys really love their kin, so if you take one away, it's rumored that bad luck will befall you. The curse of 1,000 gnomes or one gnome souvenir. The answer is pretty clear. Number 14. Underground mining town. How would you like to live in an underground home? Just take a look at this house. It looks pretty homey to me. This is located in the remote town of Millipede in southern Australia. The town got its name from the Aboriginal word kupapiti, which means white fella hole or white man in a hole. I guess this also makes it easy for people, especially visitors, to know that there are a lot of unmarked holes in the area, so you gotta be careful because you just might fall down. If you're from Australia, then you probably know why this name was chosen for this town. The origin of this place is pretty amazing. In 1914, a 14-year-old boy named Willie Hutchinson was left behind in camp. Now, little Willie didn't really have any other hobbies. There were no video games or anything back then. So instead, Willie decided to roam around the area. Of course, when the adults came back to an empty camp, all of them were alarmed, but it was soon replaced with surprise when Willie showed up later that night with a huge bag of opals with him. And that is the beginning of the mining town, Millipede. This town has about 1,800 residents, but you can barely see anything. You wouldn't think that there's a theater, a church, a bookstore, and a golf course in the area. So what's the reason why the houses here are underground? You see, the temperature in this town can reach up to a sweltering 120 degrees Fahrenheit. There's little rainfall in this area, and water can be scarce at times. Despite being dubbed as a mining town, some homes here have internet access, electricity, and, of course, water. The underground homes are also excellent for maintaining a perfect cool temperature during the day and a perfect temperature during the cold nights. Millipede actually boasts hotels and beautiful underground rooms, so this is certainly one of the most interesting places to visit. Number 13. Australian Stonehenge. Stonehenge in Wiltshire, England, is one of the most well-known archaeological sites and prehistoric monuments on the planet. Almost everyone can recognize this ancient stone formation. But did you know that Australia has its very own Stonehenge? Located 45 kilometers west of Melbourne is the Wurdi Yuang stone arrangement. The formation contains more than 100 basalt boulders forming an egg-shaped ring. It was thought to be built by the Wat Horong people, an ancient Aboriginal culture that inhabited the area at least 10,000 years ago, making it older than Stonehenge and Egypt's Great Pyramids. This poses the question, is this the Australian Stonehenge, or is Stonehenge Britain's Wurdi Yuang? I'd say that both cultures are amazing and astounding. This stone formation also isn't the only one in Australia, but it is the most intact. So what's the purpose of this stone formation? For many years, the purpose of Stonehenge remained unknown until some researchers came up with a theory that perhaps it was used as a calendar or an observatory. Likewise, the Wurdi Yuang is said to be a huge observatory that can mark the movements of the sun over the year, from the summer and winter solstice to the equinox. This discovery showed that the Aboriginals not only created songs and stories, but were also interested in the movements of the sun and other astronomical measurements. Number 12. Shell Beach. Most people visit beaches for white sand, but on Shell Beach, you won't be able to see any white sand. Instead, you'll be welcomed with billions of seashells covering more than 70 kilometers of the shore. It looks kind of surreal. This beach is one of the few places on Earth where shells replace the sand. A short walk on this beach is unlike any other. The shells create a crunching sound underfoot, adding a unique sensory experience to the visit. Interestingly, the shells are composed of a single species of mollusk, Fragum erigatum, which thrives in the hypersaline conditions. Over thousands of years, these tiny shells accumulated, forming a thick layer that can be up to 10 meters deep in some areas. The stunning bright white of the shells contrasts beautifully with the turquoise waters, making it a photographer's dream. So how did these shells fill the beach? Did the locals fill the shore with these cockle shells? The shell beach naturally formed on its own. The sea water in the Laradan Bight has a very high salinity because of the climate around the area. This allowed the cockles to proliferate and multiply unchecked. And since they had no natural predators in the area, there was nothing to stop them from multiplying. Aside from the beautiful beach, the shells also make this one of the most incredible beaches in the entire world. Number 11. Kangaroo Invasion. Kangaroos are indigenous to Australia and New Guinea, and it's estimated that there are about 40 million kangaroos living in Australia. And that's just an estimate. As cute as these creatures are, kangaroos can be pretty scary. These guys can move up to 71 kilometers per hour over short bursts. They can also jump up to 9 meters in just a single leap. And if that isn't enough, they also have powerful kicks and punches. Oh, and they're also decent swimmers as well. No wonder these guys are one of the most well-known animals in the world. Perhaps if they wanted to, they could take over our planet. It seems that this mob started their invasion on a golf course. As you can see, this lady was just trying to play golf. But the kangaroos really said, no. You can see them jumping together and gathering on the fairway as if they didn't want the lady to play. However, it seems like the mob was just curious, and after surveying the environment, the group hopped out of the way, and finally the lady got her chance to play. Apparently, the kangaroos were usual visitors at this course, and it seems they might be slowly taking it over. Number 10. Horizontal waterfalls. No, I'm not trying to trick you. If you're not familiar with the concept, you might think that a horizontal waterfall couldn't possibly exist. But just take a look at this stunning view. Located in Talbot Bay, Australia, is this stunning natural attraction, the incredible horizontal falls. Instead of a body of water that cascades from a high place, the horizontal waterfalls are, well, horizontal. This bizarre natural attraction forms when the high tide shifts in the ridges of the McClarty Range. This causes a massive tidal movement to build up on one side of the narrow passage between the cliffs, creating a waterfall up to 13 feet high. As the tide changes, the direction of the falls also reverses, from inflow to outflow and back again. Thrill-seeking and daredevil tourists can ride boats and travel through the gaps to experience one of the greatest wonders of the natural world. The site is quite difficult to locate, and the experience might be harrowing if you visit the falls at the wrong time. It appears that nature treated it as one of its most prized jewels. It's only accessible by sea or air, and the area is also surrounded by box jellyfish and estuarine crocodiles. Number 9. World's longest fence. It seems that Australia is slowly snatching up world records. After the world's oldest hafted axe, the country also holds the title of having the world's longest fence. This is the Dingo Fence, and it's a barrier that goes from eastern Queensland all the way to the South Australian coastline. The whole fence is 5,531 kilometers long. This fence was built in the late 1800s and early 1900s to protect crops from rabbits. Soon, it was rebuilt and fixed to ward off dingoes as well. The dingo barrier may be well known, but some people are starting to question whether the barrier is actually bad for the environment or not. Since these fences are made to ward off dingoes, researchers are now wondering if doing so will affect the ecosystem of the land. Dingoes are the largest land predators in Australia, and they're also considered apex predators. But aside from meat, these guys are also known to eat fruit, grains, and even nuts whenever they're starved. Hopefully, this beautiful creature won't go extinct in the future. Number 8. Prison tree. Certainly, no other trees in the world are serving some jail time. The baobab prison tree will surely catch the attention of anyone seeing it for the first time. It's located near the south of Derby in Western Australia, protected by a wooden fence around its perimeter. This tree has a girth of almost 50 feet, and it also has a large hollow trunk, which will make you think that something is living inside of it. According to legends, this tree was used as a temporary jail for the Aboriginals. Many believe that the tree is a symbol of the harsh treatment of prisoners in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Although there's no evidence supporting this legend, another legend says that the tree was actually used as a hut or a burial place. The first legend is most likely a myth, and it's one that attracted a lot of criticism. Because of its peculiar appearance, many became curious about the baobab prison tree. We still can't determine what the real purpose of the tree is, but there is a high possibility that the name prison tree is a misnomer. According to experts, the Aboriginal people believe that baobab trees are sacred and are considered to be sentient entities with personalities of their own. Considering the baobab tree is more than 1,500 years old, we must surely protect it, and perhaps in time we'll know the real story behind the myths. Number 7. True Millipede. If you easily get the heebie-jeebies, then good luck to you after you see this. We all know of the millipede. These creepy crawlers are pretty much all over the world, but they're dreaded by almost everybody. Just imagining these tiny creatures near you can give you the creeps. You see, the name millipede translates to 1,000 feet, but so far, the only known millipede had 750 legs. That's not 1,000. But in 2021, researchers discovered a true millipede in Australia. This creature not only has 1,000 legs, but it actually has 1,306. Scientists named it Eumillipes Persephone, and it is believed to have evolved its extraordinary number of legs to navigate its underground habitat more efficiently. Its long, cylindrical body allows it to maneuver through narrow crevices and soil with ease, giving it an advantage over other subterranean creatures. If you love every animal in the world, then you're probably delighted by this discovery. But if you abhor centipedes, millipedes, or any other creatures crawling on the ground, you're probably horrified by these newly discovered species. They look pretty horrifying, but thankfully they live 200 feet underground, and they also have no eyes. It seems like I just made them sound more terrifying, but hey, just look at it this way. Most people would jump back upon the sight of this thing. Number 6. Dragonlike Reptile. I don't always believe in stereotypes, but perhaps Australia has been the habitat of amazing and deadly creatures since a long time ago. This is a photo of a dragon-like reptile that flew over the land of Australia around 105 million years ago. Does it remind you of something? That's right, this guy looks just like the pterodactyl. However, this reptile is called Thapungaka shawi, and it's a new species of pterosaur. This dragon-like creature was a terrifying beast with pointy teeth, and it was one of the most ferocious hunters at the time. Its massive jaws, measuring nearly a meter long, were filled with up to 40 sharp teeth, perfect for catching prey in flight or scooping up fish from the ocean. Paleontologists believe it could soar for hours, using its large wings to glide effortlessly over long distances. Its discovery has helped scientists better understand the diversity of pterosaurs that once ruled the skies. What makes this species particularly fascinating is that its skull structure suggests it had a large crest, likely used for aerodynamics or display. It might not look like it, but this creature was huge. When researchers found the fossils of this creature in 2011, many were surprised. The wingspan of this creature, when it was alive, was no less than 30 feet, making it the largest ever Australian pterosaur discovered to date. Because it was newly discovered, not much is known about it. But one thing is for sure, the Thapungaka shawi was a fearsome predator with its spear-like mouth. Number 5. Pink Lake. The Pink Lake in Australia is definitely one of the most intriguing and beautiful attractions the country can offer. Of course, upon seeing a lake that has a strawberry hue, most people will immediately be suspicious if the lake is poisonous, toxic, or safe to take a dip in its waters. The Pink Lake is actually a salt lake in the western part of Australia's Goldfields Esperance region. This isn't the only pink lake in Australia. There are a couple of these cotton candy-like lakes in the country. However, some of them are now only pink historically, and some are beginning to lose their pinkish hue. For many years, researchers and scientists have been puzzled as to what causes the water's pink color. They found out that it contains a type of algae and bacteria that thrive in salty environments like the Pink Lakes. These algae and bacteria excrete carotenoids, which are red pigments that cause the Pink Lake's candy-like colors. It's technically safe to take a dip in the lake, but the reason why people aren't going there is because it's very hard to reach. The park website advises its visitors to keep the lake undisturbed to preserve it. Plus, it isn't really good to take a dip in the overly salted lake anyway. So, if you're planning to swim somewhere this vacation, then you just might want to check out the other wonderful beaches in Australia. Number 4. Australia's oldest Aboriginal art. I know I've been making you guess since earlier, but this is the last time. I want you to guess. What do you think is the subject of the oldest Aboriginal art in Australia? Do you have an answer already? Alright, hidden in a rock shelter of Kimberley is a 6.5-foot rock painting of a kangaroo. So, did you guess it right? If you did, congratulations. The level of detail in the painting is remarkable, capturing the form and movement of the kangaroo with incredible accuracy. Researchers believe it may have been part of a storytelling tradition, depicting scenes of daily life or spiritual significance. The choice of natural ochres as pigments has allowed the artwork to survive thousands of years, preserving this glimpse into ancient life. This painting also highlights the Aboriginal people's deep connection to their environment and their ability to represent it through art. Now you'll get to see how the kangaroo looks up close. The painting is said to be between 17,500 and 17,100 years old. It's pretty astounding to see what the art of Aboriginals looked like. They really were brilliant and creative people. This isn't the only art found at the site, but it's admittedly one of the most remarkable. Number 3. Maree Man. The Maree Man is an incredible image that you can only see best from a bird's eye view. The Maree Man was etched into a remote place in the southern part of Australia in 1998. The figure is about 2.5 miles into the land, and it's often thought to depict an Aboriginal hunter with a boomerang or a stick. It's technically one of the largest geoglyphs in the world, but its origin still remains a mystery. No one has claimed its creation, nor did any eyewitness exist. Researchers tried to reference pictures from the Landsat 5 satellite of NASA. According to the images, the land where the Maree Man was located was still blank and clean on May 27, 1998, and the image just mysteriously appeared on June 12, 1998. One of the suspected creators is Bardius Goldberg, a Northern Territory artist who died back in 2002. He lived in Alice Springs and was known to be interested in creating a piece of art that would be visible from space. When he was questioned, he refused to deny or confirm that he was indeed the one responsible for the image. Needless to say, the public was happy about the creation, and in 2018, adventurer Dick Smith even claimed that he would give a $5,000 reward for anyone who could give information regarding its creator. It was then backed up by the South Australian government, claiming that they would not pursue any legal proceedings against the creator if identified. Number 2. 2 new gliders. Be honest, this creature is one of the cutest you've ever seen. In 2020, 2 new furry friends were added to the long list of wildlife found in Australia. These creatures belong to the marsupial family. No one expected that they even existed, and yet Australian scientists found them, and they're super adorable. The 2 new species belong to the greater glider family, and they were found between Mackay and Cairns in Queensland. These gliders are nocturnal and use their unique ability to glide between trees to escape predators and search for food. Their fur is incredibly soft, helping them stay warm during the cool nights in the forest canopy. Scientists were astonished by how well adapted these animals are to their environment, despite their small size. Observing them in their natural habitat has given researchers invaluable insights into the ecosystem of the region. Australia's biodiversity really is astounding. Sadly, these adorable doe-eyed creatures have been labeled as at risk just a few years after being discovered. Their numbers are dwindling because of the loss of habitat and other factors. Hopefully, these guys will stick around until we get to know them more. Number 1. World's oldest axe. If you saw this rock and I asked you to guess what it is, what would be your answer? It doesn't really look like it, but this tiny stone fragment is believed to be none other than the world's oldest axe. This artifact was found in the Kimberley region of Western Australia, and it's believed that it dates back between 46,000 to 49,000 years ago. That is the period when the first people arrived on the continent. What's interesting is that this is the only known hafted axe, an axe with a handle, produced during that period. For instance, in Japan, these tools appeared about 35,000 years ago. Of course, there are axes that existed more than 500,000 years ago, but they were hand axes. These were usually stones without a handle. This discovery once again proves that Aboriginal technology was pretty incredible. It's believed that the first people came to Australia and soon developed these axes. Considering they only discovered this in 2016, I can't wait to see what else they'll discover in the land. Have you ever been to Australia? If so, share your most memorable experience in the comments below. We'd also love to hear which part of this video was your favorite. Don't forget to check out our other cool content popping up on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.